The private suite at Madison Square Garden hummed with anticipation as 20,000 fans filled the arena below. On massive screens, teams from Seoul and London prepared to battle for the World Championship title of Nexus Warriors, the game that had transformed competitive gaming forever. "Ms. Sullivan?" My assistant Devin appeared at my shoulder. "Your brother Michael is here." And he brought the ESPN executives. I smiled, remembering Thanksgiving dinner 5 years ago, when Michael had launched into one of his famous lectures about real sports versus kids playing computer games. "For God's sake, Alexandra," he'd sneered, brandishing his NFL producer credentials like a shield. "You have a degree from Stanford Business School. Stop wasting your time with this gaming nonsense." Now, as CEO of Velocity Gaming Entertainment, I was about to host the most watched sporting event in human history. Our preliminary numbers showed over 500 million viewers tuning in globally. "Send them in," I told Devin, straightening my blazer, "and pull up the live viewer count on the main display." Michael entered first, his familiar swagger somewhat diminished. Behind him came 3 executives from ESPN, trying to hide their awe as they took in the scene below. "Quite different from when you called it kids playing games, isn't it?" I said, gesturing to the arena. The transformation was stunning. What had once been dismissed as niche entertainment now filled legendary venues worldwide. The energy in the building rivaled any traditional sports championship I'd ever attended. "Alexandra," Michael started, then stopped, searching for words. "This is impressive." "Impressive?" I laughed softly. Last month's qualifying matches drew more viewers than the Super Bowl. "But please, tell me more about real sports." The ESPN executives shifted uncomfortably. They knew why they were here. Traditional sports viewership was declining while esports exploded. They needed us more than we needed them. 5 years ago, I'd spotted something others missed. While traditional sports struggled to engage younger audiences, gaming communities were building passionate, global followings. The potential was enormous, not just for competitions, but for an entire entertainment ecosystem. I'd started small, organizing local tournaments in San Francisco. The breakthrough came when I developed Nexus Warriors, a game specifically designed for competitive play. It combined elements of strategy, skill, and spectacle in a way that made it as thrilling to watch as to play. "Your live viewership counter is approaching 400 million, Devin announced, pointing to the climbing numbers on the screen. Michael's eyes widened. During his last NFL broadcast, they'd celebrated hitting 115 million viewers. "Let me show you something," I said, leading them to our command center. Walls of screens displayed real-time data. Viewer engagement metrics, social media activity, betting odds, and merchandise sales across 50 countries. "This isn't just about the games," I explained. "We've built an entire digital sports ecosystem. Live events, streaming platforms, fantasy leagues, licensed merchandise, all integrated seamlessly. But the infrastructure costs." One ESPN executive started. I pulled up our financial projections. "Our digital-first approach means we can scale instantly. No physical stadiums to build in every city. One event can reach viewers everywhere simultaneously, with commentary in 30 languages." "And the players?" Michael asked. "These aren't real athletes. Our pros train 6 hours a day." I cut him off. "They have nutritionists, physical therapists, and mental health coaches. The top teams have training facilities that would make NFL clubs jealous." I led them to the player areas, where teams were preparing for the match. The sophistication of the setup rivaled any traditional sports locker room. Perhaps even surpassed it with the integration of technology. "Average age of our viewers is 24, I continued. "They're digital natives who spend more time on Twitch than traditional TV. They don't just watch, they interact, comment, create content. It's a completely different level of engagement." The main screen showed the pre-game show, where analysts broke down team strategies with holographic displays. The production value was cutting edge, making traditional sports broadcasts look dated by comparison. 3 years ago, I said, turning to Michael, "you told Mom and Dad I was throwing my career away. Remember what you said at Christmas dinner?" He looked away, but I pressed on. "You said, nobody will pay to watch people play video games." Well, last year Velocity Gaming generated $3.2 billion in revenue. Our championship prize pools are bigger than Wimbledon's. The ESPN executives exchanged glances. They'd come to negotiate broadcasting rights, but they were beginning to realize they were late to the party. "We have our own streaming platform," I continued. "Our own production studios, our own talent development pipeline. We're not just a gaming company. We're a next-generation sports and entertainment empire. My phone buzzed, a message from our technology team. New viewer engagement record. Interactive predictions feature has 50 million active users. This was another advantage we had over traditional sports. Our digital nature meant we could innovate constantly, adding new features and experiences that would be impossible in conventional broadcasts. Your traditional sports model is dying, I told the executives bluntly. Young people don't want to watch passive broadcasts on a preset schedule. They want to be part of the experience. The arena erupted as the teams were introduced. The production was spectacular: holographic displays, augmented reality effects, and a sound system that made the building shake. This is just the beginning, I said, watching the crowd roar. Next year, we're launching the Velocity Gaming World League. 24 cities, year-round competition, with regional divisions feeding into global championships. Michael stared at the scene below, finally seeing what I'd seen years ago. This wasn't just gaming. It was the future of sports entertainment. The broadcast rights deal you came to discuss? I smiled. The starting price just doubled. Devin appeared with a tablet. Tokyo venue confirmed for next month's Asian Championships. Sold out in 3 minutes. And the Dubai royal family wants to discuss hosting the winter finals. I nodded, remembering the days when we struggled to fill small convention centers. Now we had governments competing to host our events. Still think it's just games? I asked Michael. Before he could answer, the crowd's roar reached a new level as the match began. On the main screen, viewer counts continued to climb, shattering all previous records for sports viewership. The ESPN executives huddled together, whispering urgently. They knew they were watching the future unfold, and they were already behind. You know what the difference is between us? I said to Michael. You saw games. I saw potential. You focused on what sports have always been. I focused on what they could become. The arena pulsed with energy as the first major play unfolded, drawing gasps and cheers from the crowd. This was sports entertainment for a new generation, dynamic, interactive, and globally connected. And we were just getting started. 6 months after the Madison Square Garden Championship, I stood in our new global headquarters in Los Angeles. The 50-story building, shaped like a giant helix, represented everything Velocity Gaming had become: bold, innovative, and impossible to ignore. Ms. Sullivan? Devin appeared on my holographic display. The market just closed. We hit $80 billion market cap after the Saudi deal announcement. I smiled, remembering my father's words when I'd asked him to invest in my startup. Video games? That's not a real business, Alexandra. Put your MBA to actual use. Now Velocity Gaming was worth more than most traditional sports leagues combined. My phone buzzed, a message from Michael. Need to talk. ESPN is hemorrhaging viewers. Our board wants to discuss a merger. Before I could respond, another alert flashed. Breaking. NFL viewership hits historic low as Velocity Gaming World League launches. The timing was perfect. Today we were unveiling our biggest innovation yet. One that would forever change how people experience sports entertainment. Devin, is everything ready for the announcement? Yes, ma'am. All global feeds standing by. Virtual venues at 100% capacity. I walked to our main control center, a room that would make NASA jealous. Hundreds of screens showed real-time data from our events worldwide, while AI systems monitored everything from viewer engagement to player biometrics. Your brother and the ESPN team are waiting in the VR conference room, Devin added. I touched the leather wristband I always wore, my first gaming controller's power button, preserved as a reminder of where this all started. The VR conference room materialized around me as I put on our latest headset. Michael and the ESPN executives appeared as perfect holograms, indistinguishable from their physical selves. Welcome to the future of sports, I said, gesturing to the virtual space around us. This technology goes live today. What exactly are we looking at? One executive asked. I smiled. We're sitting in what appears to be a normal conference room. But in reality, we're each in different cities. This same technology will allow fans to attend any game, from anywhere, with full social interaction. I pulled up a visualization of our new platform, Velocityverse. Imagine watching a championship match from the best seat in the house, high-fiving friends who are physically thousands of miles away, and having real-time stats and replays floating in your field of vision. Michael leaned forward. The NFL has been experimenting with VR. No, I cut him off. You've been creating 360-degree videos. We're building entire virtual worlds where fans don't just watch, they participate. I launched a demo of tonight's opening matches. The virtual arena appeared around us, filled with thousands of avatars representing real fans from around the world. Every person you see here is a real viewer, experiencing this in real time, sharing the moment with friends and family regardless of physical location. The ESPN executives exchanged worried glances. Their traditional broadcast model was becoming obsolete before their eyes. But the cost for fans, Michael started, is minimal, I finished. Basic access is free. Premium experiences cost less than one traditional sports ticket, and you can attend every match of the season. I pulled up more data. Our subscription model is already outperforming every traditional sports package combined. And that's before today's launch. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. This wasn't just a new way to watch sports. It was a complete paradigm shift in entertainment. Now, I said, about that merger discussion. Michael raised an eyebrow. You're not interested in partnering with ESPN. Oh, I am, I replied, pulling up another display. But not as equals. Velocity Gaming will acquire ESPN's digital rights and infrastructure. We'll transform your declining broadcasts into immersive experiences that today's audiences actually want. The numbers spoke for themselves. Our user base was growing exponentially, while traditional sports viewership dropped every year. This is the future, I continued. You can either be part of it or be left behind. Just then, Devin's avatar appeared. Ma'am, the World League launch is starting. Over 800 million viewers logged in. I turned to the executives. Stay and watch. See what sports entertainment looks like in 2025. The virtual space transformed into a spectacular arena. Teams from Tokyo and Sao Paulo were about to face off, their players' holograms appearing life-sized before us. Every viewer can choose their experience, I explained. Watch from any angle, pull up player stats with a gesture, instant replay at will. They can even view the game from a player's perspective. The match began, and the virtual crowd erupted. The energy was palpable, even in digital form. Real-time translation allowed fans from different countries to communicate seamlessly. This is just the beginning, I said, watching Michael's face as he took it all in. Next month, we launch Velocityverse Cities, permanent virtual spaces where fans can gather, trade, and socialize between matches. My phone buzzed again, a message from our development team. Neural interface testing successful. Full sensory immersion ready for beta. I smiled, thinking of how far we'd come from those early days of simple streaming. Traditional sports hadn't just been surpassed, they'd been reinvented. Remember when you said gaming would never replace real sports? I asked Michael. He nodded slowly, still watching the spectacle before us. I never wanted to replace them, I said. I wanted to evolve them. To create something that combined the best of athletic competition with the limitless possibilities of digital technology. The virtual arena shifted as a spectacular play unfolded, the space itself reacting to the game's energy. Instant replays appeared as floating holograms, while AI-generated analytics predicted the next moves. This is why we're winning, I continued. We're not just showing sports, we're creating experiences that were impossible before. We're bringing people together in ways traditional venues never could. Devin appeared again. Stocks up 25% since the launch began. Saudi Prince wants to increase his investment. And your parents are here. I turned to find my father and mother's avatars materializing in the virtual suite. They looked around in amazement. Alexandra, my father said softly. This is extraordinary. 5 years ago, he'd called my ideas unrealistic. Now he was standing in the middle of my vision made real. Would you like to see something really extraordinary? I asked, pulling up our global impact metrics. The data floated around us. Millions of jobs created in the digital sports economy, educational programs teaching next-generation skills, scholarships for promising players from underprivileged backgrounds. We're not just building games, I explained. We're building futures. Every person who works in this ecosystem, from players to developers to content creators, is part of something revolutionary. The ESPN executives huddled together, their avatars betraying their concern. They knew their old model was dying. The merger offer stands until tomorrow, I said. After that, we move forward alone. As if to emphasize my point, the viewer count ticked over 1 billion. a number no traditional sporting event had ever approached. Still think I'm wasting my Stanford MBA? I asked Michael with a smile. He shook his head, finally understanding. You didn't just see the future, he said. You built it. Later that night, after the matches ended and the announcements were made, I stood in my physical office overlooking Los Angeles. The city lights twinkled below, but the real action was happening in the digital realm we'd created. My phone buzzed one last time, a message from our research division. Neural Interface 2.0 testing exceeded expectations. Full emotional synchronization achieved. I smiled, thinking of all the people who said gaming could never match the emotional impact of traditional sports. They hadn't seen anything yet. If you've ever been dismissed for seeing a future others couldn't imagine, ever been told to stick to the real world, or ever had to choose between convention and conviction, remember this. Sometimes the craziest ideas are the ones that change everything. Subscribe if you want to hear more stories about transforming industries and challenging assumptions. Because every revolution starts with someone crazy enough to see beyond what is to what could be. Remember, the future belongs to those who don't just play the game, they change it entirely. What will you change? Thanks for watching. See you again in the next video. Stay stunned.